I got to be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect out of this Bears team on Sunday. I didn't. I had my hopes. I wanted to believe, but the reality is I just didn't know. Sure, they're coming off of the somewhat blowout victory over the Redskins on Monday night, but you're talking about a short week facing a 2-1 divisional rival in the Minnesota Vikings in Soldier Field. Crucial divisional game early on in the season. You really don't want to go 2-2 and 0-2 in the division this early on. You just don't. Then you get the news you're already without Bilal Nichols on that defensive line. Then you find out that Akeem Hicks is going to miss the game, and you're like, oh crap. Then you also see what? Roquan Smith's out due to personal issues. Oh crap. You're missing several starters off that defense and a couple of really notable impact type of players in Hicks and Smith. Not exactly rolling into a big divisional matchup this early in the season at full strength, which is where you would like to be. So I didn't really know how this team was going to come out. And then, once the game starts, opening drive, Trubisky dislocates his left shoulder going down to the ground, and he's out for the rest of the game. You're like, uh-oh. This team already had some key injuries on defense, and now one of the situations that we feared, even if we don't think Trubisky is great, is he goes down, and it's going to be Chase Daniel time. It wasn't looking good very early on.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Daniel Mania ran wild all over the Minnesota Vikings in that first half, dude. Daniel Mania was running wild all over Soldier Field. And what you gonna do when Daniel Mania and the fucking best arm in the Bears organization run wild on you? I don't know if we need to go all that far.
However, this felt like a statement game for the Bears. This felt like one of those real momentum building early season games. With all the chips stacked against them already heading into the game, and then losing your starting quarterback on the first drive, a lot of teams would have folded like a house of cards. The Bears did not. It was the Vikings that folded like a house of cards. It was the Vikings that sank like a ship to the bottom of the ocean. Because all the Bears did late on Sunday afternoon was systematically kick the ever-loving Viking dookie out of that Minnesota team. They owned him. They destroyed him. I know you look at the final score and you're like, it really wasn't that bad. But you could probably even ask Vikings fans. It felt a whole lot worse. When you look at it offensively and you say, once Chase Daniel came in, at least in that first half, like the offense had an entirely different feel, vibe, and flow to it. Instead of having a kind of trigger-happy, anxious, nervous young quarterback in Trubisky behind center, here's a calm, poised veteran in Chase Daniel who has patience in the pocket, who has some presence, who is able to go through his reads, who doesn't bail out at the first sign of trouble. And it made all the difference in the world in the first half of that offense. You'll look at this game and you say, you execute a little bit better in the red zone, this would have been a runaway, true blowout type of victory. But from very early on, you really didn't have much of a doubt as to the outcome of this game. You just didn't. It was striking to see in this game, especially in that first half, just how differently that offense ran with Chase Daniel at quarterback. He's not special. He's not great. You can argue he's not even very good. All fair things to say. But there was a difference. There was a notable, sizable difference. The whole flow and feel of that offense changed dramatically once he took over behind center. And as far as that Bears defense, they were incredible. The depth of this unit, which was thought to maybe be a little bit questionable, should not be questioned anymore. Nick Williams, another multi-sack game. You say, who? Exactly. Roy Robertson Harris, a guy that's playing himself into a lot of money down the road, either with Chicago or probably elsewhere. And if anything, you could look at this game from a defensive standpoint. You could argue that this is the Nick Kwiatkowski game. Roquan who? In this game on this weekend, Nick Kwiatkowski was arguably the best defensive player on the field for the Chicago Bears, not named Khalil Mack. And that is saying something on a defense full of studs and a defense full of marquee players on just a great overall defensive unit. It was Nick Kwiatkowski that imposed his will on this game. It was Nick Kwiatkowski that dominated this game. It was truly something to behold. And sure, you had Khalil Mack doing Khalil Mack things, because that's what the hell Khalil mother effing Mack is going to do. He's going to bear down bitches all over those skull-ass Vikings. I mean, the formula for success for the Minnesota Vikings is run the ball a ton because they don't have faith in Kirk Cousins, which doesn't exactly make you feel very good if you're a Vikings fan about the $84 million over 3 years in guaranteed money that they gave to Kirk Cousins. But goddamn, trying to run against this Bears defense is a foolhardy errand, that's for sure. And you could certainly see that. They shut Dalvin Cook down. And once they shut Dalvin Cook down, it was over. We got to start calling him Kid Cousins. Because goddamn, in those big games, he never mans up. And sure, some of that has to do with the pass rush that was in his face. 6 sacks, Bears are getting all types of pressure. Some of that could be due to the coverage down the field. And, you know, the reality is, if we didn't hammer Kid Cousins for playing poorly one way, if he starts forcing the ball down the field too much, then we're going to nail on him for that. But, you know, just like in any game, there had to be opportunities. There had to be openings. You saw the one big deep throw early in the game where Thielen is open. He gets behind the defense, and Cousins overthrows him. And it was like at that moment in time that you really understood how this game was going to shake out. When you talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly for the Bears, there was so much good. There really wasn't a whole lot of bad. For God's sakes, David Montgomery got over 20 carries. They were actually somewhat committed to running the damn football. You know, what are you going to say? You know, the offensive line could be better. They could still be better, that's for sure. But it's also amazing when the offensive line knows where the hell the quarterback is going to be and has a feel and idea of where the hell he's going to be, and he's not going to run himself out of the pocket and into some precarious situations, how much better that offensive line could potentially look. Even though guys like Charles Leno at times just threw Olay blocks at Everson Griffin. So that's still bad. But the defense is real. The defense is legit. The defense, beyond question, unless you are just a true blood hater, is Super Bowl worthy. They are absolutely Super Bowl worthy. It is going to come down to whether this Bears offense can do something. Whether they can do something, make some big plays, and get some points on the damn board. Because if they can, this Bears team can beat anybody in the National Football League. Anybody. Anybody. If they don't, it's going to be like so many other Bears teams we've seen over the years that play great defense and come up short because of crappy quarterback and offensive play. When you sum up this game, it was too much Bears defense versus Kid Cousins. How do you think that's going to go? I mean, that was the ugly of the game, was this Vikings offense. It's like they are the ones, just like it feels like at times the Bears are scared of Trubisky. You could tell the Vikings are damn near mortified of Kid Cousins to the point where Thielen's talking about, we got to be able to throw the ball. Taking shots fired, bang! That's your so-called franchise quarterback, proving once again that just because you pay a guy franchise quarterback money does in no way, shape, or form mean that you have found your franchise quarterback. And looking at it now, the Vikings have a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, 2-2, 0-2 in the division, and they just got pumped by a depleted Bears defense. All the while, the Bears 3-1, probably starting Chase Daniel next week, going to London to face off against the Oakland Raiders in a Khalil Mack revenge game. I can't freaking wait. I hope Khalil Mack tees off on Derek Carr. And every time he teabags Derek Carr, he looks over at John Gruden and says, tell me how my nuts taste. If the Bears can get through that game, 4-1, heading into the bye. Fasten your safety belts, folks. Because for the rest of the NFC and the NFL as a whole, it's about to be a bumpy